In this video I'm going to show you some different ways of creating texture. So I've got a variety of materials here. Got good old bubble wrap, so we can simply just press that with your fingers, gloved fingers, and that produces a lovely effect and reveals the layer underneath. There's things like all sorts of different knitting. Now I like to try and keep my brayer as clean as I can at this stage. Saves a lot of time cleaning up. So what I do is I just get a piece of baking paper, lay down whatever it is I'm interested in creating with, and then I just brayer over the top of the bubble wrap so it keeps the brayer nice and clean. Sometimes the baking paper takes off more than you'd like, but look at the beautiful effect you get from the knitting. We'll try some others as well. Oh, the other thing I'll try is I mentioned in an earlier video about how I'm quite fussy about what kitchen towel I buy. So this has got a lovely pattern. So I will just, and of course I can brayer straight over the top. And you get a lovely effect from the pattern from the kitchen towel. So you can try lots of different types of knitting. Bandage is another thing that works really well, but I don't have any of that here. So we'll just use this baking paper again and just firmly roll. And that's quite an interesting texture too. And I've got, tissue paper, scrunched up tissue paper. That's pretty cool too. And that I'll just press in. And then we get some random marks. On my big paintings, I often have big sheets of this, and then I'll use my roller over the top if I want to do a great big area. And it's just all a part of revealing the history underneath. This is my pot stand. I don't really like to lay it down and you get that big, circular ridge. What I do is I tend to bend it and then just put a small amount in contact with the painting, and then you get that lovely honeycomb effect. Another tool I like to use is the wooden skewer. You can use for barbecuing, and you can do things like asemic writing, which is like writing, but it's not an actual word. It's not something recognizable as a word. I find that's quite interesting, like if you've got a couple of shapes, so I've got sort of a shape there next to something, to kind of knit the two together. So that's where I like to use asemic writing. You can also use a skewer just to create things like dots. So that's quite good. And then I'm going to move to my other piece of paper to show you some more texture making. And this time I'm going to use some of the plants that I've collected from my garden. So I've got that one. I will just get the baking paper. So you can either use that just to press, or you can use your brayer. And there we are. That's a pretty cool effect with that plant. Let's have a go with the parsley flower. Do quite like that. Oh, got something here. Again, I'm just going to push that down. You can, of course, do it directly with your fingers, but and then you've got lovely subtle organic marks there. And we'll have a go with the parsley leaves. I tend to do it on the side where the ridges show the most, so I put the plant that way around. I'm not putting much thought into composition at this point in time. I'm only interested in creating texture. Still got quite a few layers to go. Now I'm really intrigued to see this Banksia flower, what that might do, and I think I'll just roll it onto the paint and see what happens. Ooh, I'm liking that. Can make from organic materials. And what we need to do next is to let that set up overnight, and then I will come back and show you what you can do with a dry or semi-dry painting. There's lots of other things we can do. If there's an effect and you don't really like it, you can just lightly go over, just soften it with your squeegee, or you can add more paint and go over the top. I might add a little bit more paint to this just to simplify it a bit in some places because it is rather busy. So we'll just do that now, and we'll just take the baking paper. You can pop baking paper on oil and coal wax just to keep it damp or stop it drying out completely, and then you can still carry on using it. So I just feel that this is getting a little bit thin in places, so I'm going to add a little bit more paint and try it. It's also getting very... It's not holding. Right, I'll just put that on my scrap piece again. And I'll bring back the other one to see whether I need to make any adjustments to that. Yeah. This has gone back close to the paper, so I will add some more paint in this area. And a bit more paint here. And it looks, a bit of a mess at the moment, but don't worry, with painting you do go through ugly stages. It's quite normal. So don't worry about it at the moment. Oh. But anyway, that is it. We've achieved some nice textures, so we'll look at what we can do with that tomorrow. Just thought I should give you a closer look on some of the textures that we've achieved. I love that white area there, and the honeycomb pattern and the indentations. I always love asymmetric writing, and that was with the bubble wrap. And with the other one, we have the leaf shape there. Particularly liked this pattern here. Thought that was lovely, and this flower pattern there. And this was an interesting effect, rolling the Banksia flower. And then I think some of this was the parsley leaf. So enjoy getting out in your garden and collecting a few bits and bobs and have a go. Thank you for watching my video. If you love oil and coal wax painting, please subscribe. I add new tutorials every week. I also have a free beginner's guide, and you can download yours from the link in the description. Thank you.